Thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian army has arrested 39 suspected oil thieves and dismantled 18 illegal refining sites in a crackdown on crude oil theft across the Niger Delta. Between March 24 and March 30, 2025, troops seized over 60,000 liters of stolen petroleum products in Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, and Akwa Ibom states. Key operations targeted illegal refining hubs in Eche, Rumuekpe, Ebocha, Omoku, and Jelikri Creek, leading to the destruction of refining equipment and storage facilities. In Bayelsa and Delta, troops recovered large quantities of stolen crude, while intensified patrols in Akwa Ibom have made oil theft more difficult. General Officer Commanding 6th Division Major General Emmanuel Eric Emeka commended the troops and warned criminals to desist or face legal actions. The Army reaffirmed its commitment to eliminating oil theft and securing Nigeria's energy resources. Our guest this morning is Nick AGULE, energy expert. Good morning and welcome to the program, Nick.
Good morning, Mr. Nyamgul, and good morning to all our viewers globally.
Okay, before we enter into the successes recorded by the troops of the Nigerian Army and every other relevant agency, I'd like you to comment on what is happening. The oil prices have gone up because of the apparent failure in the Naira for crude talks, and now the talks are going to be resumed between the federal government and Dangote and all that. The last time we spoke, you said it was a good development that Dangote is exporting crude because it will bring us the much needed dollars and all that if the dollars will be repatriated back to Nigeria. And that's where we ended. Now the prices of fuel is going up because of the failure of these talks and because Dangote has stopped selling crude in Naira to the people because of obvious reasons to himself. But I'm very concerned about how the talks are going to go right now, because it seems as if Dangote has shown that once he retraces his steps, he stops doing certain things, the economy suffers. Once he sneezes, we catch a cold as a country. I don't know how you think about it, but this is where we are now. Prices of fuel have gone up, and there's fear that it might even still go up further, even though we have been given other factors that might have led to that. One of the key factors is the action of Dangote Refinery. What do you think?
Thank you very much. So a couple of things. The first is that, like we did say in the last outing that we had on the crude for Naira deal, which the NNPC had called to an end, I did proceed then, and I will still do the same now, that on its own, alone should not lead to significant increases in prices of petroleum products that the Dangote refinery is churning out to the Nigerian market. And the reason I say this is that the crude for Naira deal was not meant to deliver crude oil to Dangote at cheaper rates. No. If crude oil was selling for $70 a barrel, that is Brent, at which Nigeria's crude is sold, it would have still been sold to Dangote at $70 a barrel. The only difference is that in which currency was Dangote expected to pay that bill. Under the crude for Naira deal, he paid that bill in Naira. But now that the deal has come to an end, he is expected to pay for that bill in dollars. So the point here is that either way, Dangote is buying crude oil as petroleum products. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
because I see myself frozen on the screen.
No,
yeah, I'm frozen.
I can hear you.
I can't see. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me now, right?
I've been hearing you all along. It's not just now. So go ahead.
Okay, so I was frozen on the screen, so I just thought I was off.
No.
I am in Boko, Benue State, Nigeria, so the network here can be dodgy. So back to the point I was making is that Dangote refinery was buying crude oil, say at a price of $70. It never mattered whether he was paying in naira or he was paying in dollars. The price at which he bought it, which is his own input cost, is $70. So now that they say pay in dollars, don't pay in naira, he shouldn't just go and hike the prices of his products to say, oh, I'm experiencing additional cost. No, he's not experiencing additional cost. The only end this deal is going to make under pressure, because when petroleum products in naira, but mind you, he's not selling all of his petroleum products in naira. He's selling a chunk of his petroleum products in dollars. We spoke the other day where he's already selling Jet A1 to the likes of Saudi Arabia and the United States, because the quantum of Jet A1 that is producing, Nigeria can't buy it all. In fact, the quantum of almost all the petroleum products is producing, including PMS, which is popularly called petrol, Nigeria can't buy it all. So he's selling a chunk of these products in dollars. It was a kind of lopsided deal for us to give him crude oil in naira, and then he sells some of the products in naira and sells some of the products in dollars. So point here, bottom line is that Dangote should not use this as an opportunity to hike prices, because he's still paying the same thing. The only other thing that is happening in the world of oil as we speak now is that crude oil prices are rising. So as I checked this morning, and crude oil prices were in the neighborhood of $74. That's Brent. And then WTI, which is West Texas Intermediate, in the US crude, was selling for about $71, $72. So the geopolitical events, including the crisis in the war in Ukraine, Donald Trump tariffs, action on Iran, are also sending crude oil prices up. And inevitably, as crude oil prices are rising, Dangote refineries products will also rise in price, because if the input cost is rising, there is nothing that will be done other than for the output price to also be to rise. Those are the vagaries that you face in a deregulated market. If the crude oil price jumps, prices are expected to jump. If the crude oil price comes down, prices are expected to come down. That is what happened elsewhere as well.
Okay, so just by way of information, why is the need for this talk on crude for naira if there is no difference, no marked difference between buying in naira and buying in dollars? I thought sourcing for the dollars was also a very key factor that made it more easy for Dangote refinery to purchase this crude oil and bring some kind of relief to him, and that's why it is important that we discuss this. So if there's no marked difference, why are we even discussing it? Since he has to pay with the same amount, just that he's using dollars, naira rather.
Exactly. So for me, that is why it is important that we have this kind of discussion and disaggregate the matter, right? So if Dangote refinery is saying my petroleum product cost is rising because crude oil prices are rising, I will understand with him, because that is what is happening right now in the world, that crude oil prices are trying to top $75, which is the Brent. Is trying to top $75 as at this morning. So if it was under $70 as it was before, and it's now $75, it is expected that the petroleum product cost that is arising from refining that crude oil will rise in prices. So if that is the position that Dangote Refinery takes, I will understand with that position. But if Dangote Refinery is saying, oh, I will have to increase the cost of my product because I am no longer getting crude in Naira, then that's a question that is not, it's a matter that the regulators need to look into, because his output was not, his output cost was not expected to rise significantly. As a result, since he's paying the same thing.
He didn't say that it's because of that he's raising his. He just stopped selling in Naira as well, because he was not buying in Naira, so he stopped selling in Naira. And because others were finding it difficult to source for these dollars possibly, they hiked their prices, and it just cuts across everyone. Now it's back to almost 1,000 Naira per liter of PMS. So whether he says this or not, but it has had an effect on whatever he is doing and whatever the other people who are buying from him are doing. So the prices have gone up. So there's a relationship somehow between this buying in Naira and dollar and not buying in Naira. So, well, that's where we are. Now, but really...
Well, Dangote Refinery has to come across to us in a very transparent and fair manner. Remember, we were giving him crude for Naira, and he was refining this crude and selling part of it abroad and getting dollars. So this was a situation where he was buying crude in Naira from us, and he was refining and not selling all of the products to the Nigerian market, but he was selling some of the products to the international market. He himself confirms that he's selling Jet A1 to Saudi Arabia, to the US, and selling product cargo to even some African countries. So he should also understand that Nigeria gave him crude and he paid Naira for it, and he made dollars out of that crude. So when times like this come, he should also show the good businessman and good citizen, good corporate citizen, by not just saying, I will only sell my products in dollars. But you see, we have always made this point, that for so long as it is only Dangote Refinery that Nigeria is dependent on, with no competition, no significant competition coming from any other refinery, we are going to be getting into all these kind of games, right? Because this is quite expensive and not right for our economy, to be honest. So it is the reason why the haste with which he should have handed over our 4 refineries to the private sector to also refine. Imagine that we're talking about 445,000 barrels capacity refineries, fully back on stream now, competing with Dangote Refinery. Dangote now, by saying, okay, if you don't give me, I will sell in dollars, I will not sell to you, this and that. He will continue to do these things to us unless we get our own refineries back on stream to compete with him.
All right. So now let's talk about the crackdown on oil theft, arrests of 39 suspects and all that. The military seems to making some gains in that regard. Can we now say that we are putting more effort, we are gaining, we are seeing the gains of putting more efforts, or is there something else that we need to do, in your own opinion?
Thank you very much for the question, Nyamgul. Nyamgul, we have spoken on this in the past, and I just want to draw our viewers' attention to the infrastructure that the military are showing on the screen as having been destroyed. You look at those tanks, the welding, the pipes, everything that is connected with this illegal industry. The military can tell us that this is the first time they know that something like this is happening. If something as elaborate as this is happening on Nigerian territory, in their area of operations, where you have the Navy, you have the Army, and you have the Air Force overflying the area, and then you have other agencies like the Civil Defense, and then the intelligence agencies and all of that. And this kind of elaborate infrastructure, look at the damage to the environment has been happening, and the military wants us to know that they are just discovering it. Look, Nyamgul, this doesn't sound right. It then means that people can invade our territory, set up a war machine without our knowing. In Nigerian, look, if
Okay, we've been talking with Nick Agule. Why do I always call him Chris? We've been talking with Nick Agule, an energy expert, and we're looking at sundry issues around the oil sector. Okay, Nick, we lost you for a moment. We lost your audio and video for a moment there. So you were saying that they have not done enough. They could have done more. I wish you can continue with that train of thought.
Nick, yes, so I was knocked out. Okay. So that they have finally gone to, evacuate the illegal bunkers and the illegal refiners, and at least those sites are now free of this thing. But I was actually speaking about the whole scenario, the scenario that this kind of elaborate infrastructure can be set up to illegally steal petroleum products, and also to illegally refine them. And the military are only getting to know. If they knew before, why did they allow this thing to continue for so long? And if they are just getting to know, there's a question mark on their ability to secure Nigeria, the territorial sovereignty of Nigeria. There's a question mark. Because like I was saying, you cannot refine illegally without giving your location out. Once you start to refine, you will see the smoke rise into the air. We have the Navy. The Navy has a command in Yenagoa. They have a base in Port Harcourt. In Port Harcourt, they have brigades. Then we have the police. We have the civil defense. Then we have the intelligence agencies. All these were there when these guys were setting up this elaborate infrastructure, stealing our crude oil and illegally refining it. So I think the military and the security architecture, they need to be more honest to us. We hope that this action that they are now taking should be legitimate, should be genuine, and that they are actually interested in clearing the whole of Niger Delta of all the illegalities in the oil industry, including stealing of our crude oil and refining sand.
What about technology? Can they deploy technology as we wrap up? So what do you think about the place of technology in safeguarding our oil assets in Nigeria?
Can deploy technology. These days, there are drones. You fly a drone over the entirety of the Niger Delta area, and it will show you in clear photographs, in real time, clear video images of what is happening in the entire territorial area of Niger Delta. And if there is any bunkering, illegal bunkering or refining anywhere, you are expected to respond to the place. Aside from that, the oil industry is also having a lot of technology, right from drawing the oil out of the well. Immediately the oil gets to the Christmas tree, which is the equipment that is put on top of an oil well to bring the oil out. It is metered. From that Christmas tree is metered to a fuel station, metered to a terminal, metered to an export tanker. The whole thing is being metered. And if there is any tapping of the pipe, be a flow line or a pipeline, the operators are expected to know that our pipe has been tapped here, and then they're expected to know the exact location of that tap, and they will see the pressure fall as oil is being squeezed out of the pipe, and the security agents are expected to respond to that. Why are they not responding to it? And they allow the environment to be damaged in the way you are showing in the pictures before they will come and do this photo up for us. I want to say this. Even Wilson Wike, who was former governor of Rivers State, he openly accused the military of being complicit in illegal oil theft and refining the Niger Delta. Even Tantita Security, which was contracted by the federal government to provide the surveillance over our oil installations, they have accused the security agencies of complicity in this. If President Tinubu is really interested in solving the problem of illegal oil bunkering and refining in the Niger Delta, he should read the riot act to all the commanders that are in the Niger Delta to say, if they steal one more barrel of crude oil, I'm sacking all of you. And look, if it says that with that single stroke, if it says that, do you know that we would have seen the back of this economic sabotage that we are seeing happening in the Niger Delta without any control?
Oh, well, I hope we get to that. We declare the proper state of emergency on things that need the state of emergency, not on places that may not have had the kind of conflict that will warrant that. But we'd like to thank you, Nick, this morning for coming on our show and sharing your thoughts. Sorry that we had to take you through a different route before we came back to what we were really saying this morning. But thank you. As always, you delivered what we needed to hear. Thank you so much. Nick AGULE is an expert in energy, and he was talking to us this morning about the crackdown on oil theft and arrest of 39 suspects. And not only that, we also looked at other issues around the oil sector. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll be looking at the statement of Dele Momodu, who criticized Tinubu over Rivers State suspension. Stay with us.